Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Today we're going to talk about the Corruption and Ascension expansion for It's a Wonderful World. Now, if you haven't seen our thoughts on the base game of It's a Wonderful World, you should definitely check it out. I absolutely love this game. It's a very straightforward drafting engine building game. It's really easy to teach to new players. I've taught it to brand new gamers tons of times. They love it. It's really great. But what does this expansion add to it? I'm not going to talk about the base game anymore. I'm done with that. First of all, it adds a new board. It's a wipe-off board for calculating the score for endgame scoring things. And actually, I don't use that. And I don't even use the little pad that is in the base game. Look, I'm talking about the base game again. No, but I never use that stuff. I feel like it's really easy to just add it up on your calculator and whatever. Like, I don't really like the calculators, I don't like the categories they put it in for points and stuff. I just always do multipliers first. Like, okay, well, look at all these different multipliers for yellow. And I don't know if they do that in this. Whatever. I don't use that. So, all right. You also get two new corporations. One that gets points for the black cards and one that gets points for the white cards. And I really like using these. I do not like using the symmetrical ones where everybody starts off with the same thing. That's just boring, man. I don't care if they're unbalanced or whatever. I like special player powers. I like having an advantage. I like having hit the ground running, already know what I'm going for, and boom, and really try and capitalize on it. Because you could even, you don't have to get just black. You can kind of go black and blue or black and green or whatever, But I like these, and the fact that there's more, which is great, because now you can play a 5-player game without including the ones that give you points for those point token things, the Peggy Carters and Howard Starks, which is what we've been calling them. And actually, when you look really close, you're like, they actually don't look that much like Peggy Carter and Howard Stark. Speaking of those tokens, you also get 3-point tokens. It's nice. Maybe it's necessary. It doesn't change the gameplay at all. You're not going to play a card that says take a 3-point token, but, it's like 5s of money and whatever. You also get more cubes, more of each type of cube, because now the game can be played up to 7 players, which actually I would totally do, because adding more players doesn't really bring the time up that much since most of the game is done simultaneously. But let's get on to the actual cards. And if you'll notice, the back of the cards is different from the back of the cards in the base game. That's because you always hand out a certain number of these and a certain number of these. So you're not mixing these together. So you're guaranteed to get some of the new cards in every single hand, which is awesome. Now, the mechanics that these new cards add is probably the biggest one is corruption. You have really cheap cards that produce a decent amount of resources, but also have negative production, so to speak, on some cards. Like it'll produce, so this one I have here, Offshore Laboratory, produces, it's only 2 white and a yellow to build, which is pretty cheap because it produces a yellow and a green, which is great, but it has a negative black. So if you already produce 1 black, nope, now you don't. These cancel out, you produce 0 black, which can actually be really good for your strategy. You can just go really hard on 2 different colors. That's something you can do in general in the base game. And now if this one has a negative production on something you're not going to produce, that's not an issue. You still just produce 0. So these can be really strong for your strategy if you don't try and get every single resource, which a lot of times I don't even try to get every resource. I'm just like, I'm not going to produce green this game, and I'm okay with it. So those negative production things are obviously they're called corruption, I think. So that would be the corruption side of things. But then the Ascension side of things has some cards that are just take a lot to build, but they're super tons, a lot of points. Like this one here, Artificial Sun. The build cost even comes up, it's like 2 full rows of build, but it's 25 points. That's a lot. You also get points for pairs of building, like this Celestial Cathedral will get you points for every pair of black and yellow combined together. There are also some cards that are like super producers, like this one here will get you 3 white and 3 black when it's built. That's huge. This one will get you 3 yellow and 2 blue. Those are actually like the fewest cards in here. There aren't that many of this type. There's a lot, and I think the ones that give you 25 points, there's not a lot of those either. There's mostly the corruption and the pairs thing I think I've seen more frequently. But they're just awesome. They're just really cool. I love this game, and this is new mechanics for me, right? It's not just more of the same. It's not just different types of cards. They don't just give you more of these cards that are a little bit different and whatever. They really pump up new mechanics. Corruption, some really, really big cards. I guess it's not really a new mechanic, but the pairs of scoring is a new mechanic, and having the new starting player ability things. I really enjoy this expansion, and when teaching this to new players, they were experienced gamers, but they haven't played It's a Wonderful World before. I included this expansion in them playing it the first time, and they totally got it, no problem. It's really intuitive. Like, you don't really need to teach new rules. It's just, I mean, I guess the corruption is kind of a new rule, but it just makes sense. It meshes right in. It's no problem.
It's no problem.
This is a great expansion that I'd probably include in pretty much every game. I mean, I guess I did teach this game to brand new gamers, and I chose not to include this expansion. That's probably the only time I would do that. But this expansion's great. Love it. You should definitely check it out. I'm going to put a purchase link in the description box down below so you can get yourself a copy. I highly recommend it, and especially if you don't have the base game at all, I'll put a link down there for that as well, because this is a phenomenal game. I really think anybody who likes drafting and engine building would love this game. Really easy. There's also down there's going to be a link for game toppers. There's also going to be a button that says subscribe. If you subscribe to our channel, you will never be bored. Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Today we're going to talk about the